Welcome back. It is Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. Today we are pulling back the curtain on the most significant move to secure our elections in over 20 years. On February 11th, the House passed the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE America Act. It's a bill that finally demands what common sense has dictated for decades: documentary proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. But that's not the only story on our radar. While the House is moving to protect the ballot box, the Congressional Budget Office just released a report that should have every American on high alert. Our national debt is exploding, and interest costs alone are projected to hit $2.1 trillion by 2036. And finally, we're looking at a Department of Homeland Security that is currently paralyzed by a partial government shutdown, impacting everything from FEMA to the very agencies tasked with keeping our borders secure. There is a through line here, folks: sovereignty, accountability, and the survival of the American social contract. We're breaking it all down right now. Welcome back. It is Friday, February 20th, 2026. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the most significant move to secure our elections in over 20 years. On February 11th, the House passed the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE America Act. It's a bill that demands what common sense has dictated for decades: documentary proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. But that's not the only story on our radar. While the House moves to protect the ballot box, the Congressional Budget Office just released a report that should have every American on high alert. Our national debt is exploding, and interest costs alone are projected to hit $2.1 trillion by 2036. Finally, we're looking at a Department of Homeland Security currently navigating a partial government shutdown, impacting everything from FEMA to the very agencies tasked with keeping our borders secure. There is a through line here, folks: sovereignty, accountability, and the survival of the American social contract. We're breaking it all down right now. Before we dive into the details, I want to say something to those of you who are new here. I'm John Gray, and we're building a community of people who refuse to stand by while the logic and integrity of our republic are under attack. We need voices like yours in this fight, so hit that subscribe button and join the conversation. Let's get straight to the heart of the matter. On Wednesday, February 11th, 2026, the House of Representatives took a stand for the American citizen. By a vote of 218 to 213, they passed the Save America Act. Now, if you listen to the mainstream media or the activist groups over at the Brennan Center, they'll tell you this is some kind of power grab or a bureaucratic hurdle meant to disenfranchise people. But let's use some logic here. Is it a hurdle to prove you are who you say you are when you board an airplane? Is it disenfranchisement when a bank asks for your ID to open an account? Of course not. Yet for 30 years, our federal voter registration system has operated on what is essentially an honor system. Under the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, you might remember it as motor voter. All a person has to do is check a box and sign their name, attesting that they are a citizen. There is no requirement to actually show a document that proves it. That might have made sense in 1993 when databases weren't digitized, but in 2026, it's an open invitation for error at best and exploitation at worst. The SAVE Act fixes this by shifting the burden of proof back where it belongs, on the applicant to prove they are eligible, rather than on the state to try and disprove it after the fact. Under this law, you'd need to provide documentary proof of citizenship. We're talking about a real ID that indicates citizenship, a US passport, or a birth certificate paired with a photo ID. Now, I want to address the name match issue that the left loves to bring up. They claim this will hurt women who have changed their names through marriage or divorce. Well, if they actually read the bill, specifically Section 8, subsection J, paragraph 2, They'd see that the act mandates that states accept marriage licenses or divorce decrees to reconcile those discrepancies. It's a must-accept protection, not a suggestion. But here's why this is so urgent. The Trump administration has correctly framed this as a national security imperative. In an era of high global mobility and porous borders, the integrity of the ballot box is the bedrock of the republic. We've seen the data. In Virginia alone, between September 2024 and August 2025, over 4,500 registrations were canceled because of non-citizen status. If one state is finding thousands of ineligible registrants, it suggests a systemic failure. Democrats say cases are vanishingly rare, but as the Heritage Foundation points out, the honor system effectively masks the scale of the problem because there's no filter at the front door. This isn't just about the millions of votes cast. It's about the local elections, the school board races, and the state primaries, where the margin of victory can be in the single digits. Every illegal vote cancels out the vote of a legitimate citizen, period. We design banking systems to prevent all fraud, not just most of it. Why would we treat the leader of the free world with less security than a checking account? And look at the public support. 83% of Americans support these requirements. This isn't a fringe idea, it's the international norm. From the UK to France to Germany, proving who you are and that you belong to the political community is just part of being a citizen. It's time America caught up. While the debate over the SAVE Act rages on, we cannot ignore the economic reality that is squeezing every single American household. On the very same day the House passed the SAVE Act, the Congressional Budget Office released its outlook for 2026 through 2036. And the numbers are, frankly, terrifying. We are looking at a federal budget deficit of $1.9 trillion for this fiscal year alone. Our national debt is on track to hit 120% of our entire GDP by 2036. That's higher than the peak we saw after World War II. But here is the number that should keep you up at night. Interest costs on that debt are projected to double, from $970 billion last year to $2.1 trillion by 2036. Think about that. We will be spending $2 trillion just to pay the interest on money we've already spent. This fiscal reality imposes what we call a zero-sum logic on everything the government does. Every dollar we spend on new federal mandates has to come from somewhere. This is where the election integrity debate and the economy collide. State governments are already scrambling as pandemic-era aid disappears and revenues slow down. They see the requirements in the SAVE Act, upgrading software, retraining poll workers, managing the cure process for flagged registrations as an unfunded mandate. But here is the conservative perspective they won't tell you on the other channels. The cost of not acting is far higher. If our elections lose their legitimacy because of loopholes and lack of verification, the social and economic cost of that instability is incalculable. Moving to a digitized, verified system using Real ID and the SAVE database is ultimately more efficient than the manual, error-prone mess we have now. Yes, we need to ensure that the nearly 4 million citizens who truly lack documents, the elderly in the South, or the low-income families, get the help they need to recover their vital records. That's a service delivery challenge, not a reason to abandon security for everyone else. We should be funding mobile ID units, like they have in Alabama, to reach those voters. When the electorate feels economically insecure, when your grocery bill is up and the national debt is spiraling, your sensitivity to the rule of law goes up. You want to know that the resources of this country are being managed by people chosen only by the citizens of this country. The SAVE Act isn't just about a ballot. It's about protecting the value of your voice in a time of extreme fiscal pressure. Finally, we have to talk about the chaos at the Department of Homeland Security. As of right now, in mid-February, we are navigating a partial government shutdown. This isn't just a political stalemate in DC. It's a direct hit to our national security infrastructure. FEMA and the TSA are feeling the squeeze. And why does this matter for the SAVE Act? Because the entire system of verification relies on the DHS SAVE database, the systematic alien verification for entitlements. The SAVE Act mandates that states run their voter rolls through this database to identify and remove non-citizens. But if the agencies managing these databases are underfunded or partially shut down, the left will use that as an excuse to say the law is unworkable. We've already seen how the DHS has historically been slow to grant states access to this data. The Trump administration is making the case that you cannot separate border security from ballot security. If you have a porous border and a registration system that relies on the honor system, you are creating a massive vulnerability for foreign influence. This is about the principle of democratic self-government, a principle the Supreme Court has upheld time and again. The shutdown highlights just how fragile our federal agencies are when leadership fails to prioritize the basics. We need a DHS that functions, a border that is closed, and a voter roll that is clean. The SAVE Act provides the tools, but we need the political will to ensure the machinery of verification is actually running. So, let's tie this all together. We are at a crossroads in early 2026. We have a House that has finally passed a common sense measure to require proof of citizenship to vote, aligning us with the rest of the civilized world. We have an economy that is screaming for fiscal restraint as our debt interest threatens to swallow our future. And we have a border and security apparatus that is currently hamstrung by partisan gridlock. The through line is simple. If we don't have a secure border and a secure ballot, we don't have a country. The SAVE Act is a necessary modernization of our infrastructure. The honor system is a relic of the past that we can no longer afford. But I want to hear from you. Do you think the nearly 4 million citizens without documents should be a reason to stop the whole bill? Or should we just focus on helping them get their IDs? And how do you feel about the national debt hitting 120% of GDP? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please share this video. People need to see the data, not just the talking points. I'm John Gray. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.